Now, I kindly invite Mrs. Sümeyye Erdoğan Bayraktar, Chair of the Board of Trustees at Kadem Foundation, to the stage for her keynote speech.
Honorable Rector, distinguished academics and students, distinguished guests, I greet you all with affection and respect. Today we have convened at Ibn Khaldun University, one of the most revered educational institutions of our country, to address the right to believe, the right to work, women's religious freedom in the workplace. I'd like to express my appreciation to all the stakeholders and participants who have made this event possible, particularly the Ibn Khaldun University. In this hall, I can see we have participants adopting different styles of attire. We are aware that headscarf or beard has nothing to do with academic study, learning, or teaching. Presumably, we all believe that such preferences are among the most fundamental human rights. But unfortunately, the concept of right is not defined the same way for everyone. The definition and the boundaries of the right to work and the right to believe is a matter of serious debate in many societies. I am someone who personally experienced the February 28th period in Turkey, the ban on wearing hijab in the public sector, and whose fundamental rights were taken away. Because I was deprived of my right to wear a hijab at school, I had to go to a different city, far away from my family and friends, and graduate from a different school in an unfamiliar environment in order to be able to finish high school when I was just 16 years old. For the same reason, I couldn't attend university in my own country. Fortunately, I didn't have to face the ban again since I worked in civil society institutions that do not categorize or interfere in women's attire. Because of the price we have paid, our recollections of the incidents of the February 28th period have always been very fresh in our memories. Conscientious segments of society have never been able to come to terms with the fact that students who only wanted to fulfill the requirements of their faith were deprived of the right to education for no reason. Women who were excluded from education were also naturally unable to enter the workforce. When people's right to fulfill their potential and earn a living with dignity was taken away, social justice and equality suffered a major blow. Today, thankfully, Turkey is a country that has lifted these bans at the state level and removed the obstacles hindering women from exercising their right to believe and their right to work concurrently. I wholeheartedly believe that Turkey, with a wealth of experience in combating gender-based discrimination under its belt, will eventually draw up a roadmap that will serve as a model for the whole world under the guidance of you, our valuable academics. However, unfortunately, we still face serious obstacles in the private sector that need to be overcome. We witness that visible identities, such as headscarves, come to the fore in recruitment and career processes rather than competence, skills, and experience. In job advertisements, we may encounter statements that the resumes of candidates wearing headscarves will not be considered. Or an application that was treated positively before the photo of the applicant was seen may be rejected based on various excuses once it is understood that the applicant is wearing a headscarf. Distinguished guests, one may ask, what if a company intends to maintain impartiality with respect to symbols that make faith visible? Indeed, impartiality holds significant importance. Nevertheless, the essential principles here are the fundamental rights and freedoms of the individual. I wish to emphasize that the headscarves serves as an expression of identity and a natural extension of freedom of belief. It is neither a propaganda tool nor an imposition on others. I'm not attempting to convey a message with my headscarf on. I'm simply exercising my right to practice my faith. Refusing to hire a woman solely based on her choice to wear a headscarf infringes upon her right to practice her beliefs. In seeking a balance between institutional preference and individual rights, the priority has to be with human dignity and fundamental rights above all. We must remember that social equality and inclusion can only thrive in spaces where individuals are free to be their authentic selves. In the absence of inclusiveness, impartiality cannot exist. Faith is a fundamental part of an individual's life journey. We cannot separate our beliefs from our identity. We cannot confine our identity to our private lives or our homes and go out into public life without an identity. We cannot, on the contrary, our identities are what we need exactly when we are in the public space and when we're socializing. Yet, in some circles, our practices of faith, which are part and parcel of our identity, are still perceived as a matter of our inner world. This gives rise to new situations in which freedom of religion is restricted. As I said earlier, Turkey has made significant progress against such discrimination. However, Islamophobic and racist attitudes towards religious women continue in some parts of the world, especially in Western countries. Recently, France passed a bill banning the headscarf in sporting events. Also recently, in Northern Cyprus, freedom of headscarves in high schools were restricted. These examples show that when women are forced to choose between their religious beliefs, represented by wearing the headscarf, and their rights to education, employment, supports, etc., a vast majority of them sacrifice their public rights in order to continue wearing the headscarf. This, in turn, undermines women's social and economic position and hinders the achievement of equal opportunity for women and men, as well as gender justice. There are many glass ceilings facing women. Regrettably, prohibitions imposed on our religious practices, which essentially liberate us, are one of these glass ceilings. According to studies from Europe, job applicants who use photos with headscarves on their resumes have a 65% lower rate of being called for an interview. It is reported that women who wear headscarves are 30 to 40% more likely to face discrimination, which impedes their professional careers. Women's participation in the labor force is lower in societies that do not allow for religious freedoms. Therefore, it is crucial to protect religious beliefs in the workplace, not only in terms of the liberties of women, but also for human rights and for social equality. Now, I would like to address a few matters, if I may, in my capacity as the chairwoman of the Board of Trustees of KADEM, Women and Democracy Foundation. We in KADEM have consistently opposed and will continue to oppose the uniform woman paradigm of the narratives that are constructed around modernization. We will persist in our endeavors to address the efforts to restrict women's freedom of belief from a perspective of human rights and women's rights. We will always advance with local values and cultural codes, resisting the narrowing down of the issue of women's rights to a single perspective and a single narrative. We will react to the imposition of a top-down approach on women purported to be in the name of women's rights. Let's bear this in mind. Individuals have the right to exercise their freedom of belief in their professional lives and the right to arrive at work dressed in a manner that aligns with their beliefs. Particularly when this right is violated over women, it leads to a loss of acquisitions for societies as it excludes women from professional life. Furthermore, a world in which women are systematically erased from social life, despite all its assertions, will never be able to reach a fair, equal, inclusive, and democratic order. Distinguished guests, previously I mentioned about the ban on hijab in sports events in France. Do you know what was cited as the reason for this ban? It was that religious affiliation divides people. In this view, all aspects of our identity, such as language, ethnicity, gender, and even hair color or weight maybe, could be considered as things that divide people. One could even argue that all people around the world should be uniform in every sense of the word. Here we see that, as the dissenting voices from France's own Senate put it, the real aim is to stigmatize Islam by instrumentalizing secularism. For this reason, terms such as mobbing, alienation, and prejudice fall short of describing the process we currently undergo. This is a multidimensional war of identity waged through perception. And as in most wars, women are the victims that suffer the most in this war. Because the primary group targeted by the broad headline religious symbols, which they repeatedly use as a common refrain, is Muslim women who wear headscarves. With a single glance at a photo on a job application, a person is plunged into the abyss of profound inequality. All her efforts, the investments she has made in herself, and what she can offer to the society and humanity are reduced to nothing just with a single glance. This is why I believe that this multifaceted identity war requires a multifaceted response. This is not just a matter of religious identity for us. This is a matter of the right to exist. This is a matter of the right to live. This is a matter of human rights, a matter of women's rights, a matter of the right to work. This is a matter of the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. And we will hold on to our rights. We will strive for a world enriched by our differences, beautified by tolerance, and at peace with equality and justice. Thank you.